Hi everyone, welcome to My English. I'm Hira and today we will be discussing writing task 1 bar chart. How do you summarize the information contained in a bar chart? This is for writing task 1 academic writing. So let's take a look what we will be doing today. So in this session we will be covering how to analyze a bar chart or a bar diagram. What is the structure of a bar chart? And we'll also take up a solved example. When you're given a question like this, you first of all take a look at what is given on the x-axis, what is given on the y-axis. So this is the x-axis, the horizontal one, and the y-axis is the vertical one. So as you see, on the horizontal axis, you are given years 1970, 71, 1980, 81, 1990, 91. And this chart is divided into two charts basically. One is for the male data and the other is for female data. And on the y-axis, it is men and women in further education in thousands. So this is not 200, it is 200,000s, 400,000s. You can also do it like this. So it looks like it is 100,000s, right? So in 1970-71, this is this. Look at the index carefully. What all is shown to you. How are you going to differentiate between this gray part and this black part? So as you see, this gray part is part-time education and black is full-time education. So do you see the difference? That in 1970, 1,000 means 1 million. 1 million males were studying in part-time education in 1970, right? Now, if you compare it with women, it was somewhere around 750. But if you look at it in totality, the women education is increasing steadily. So not even once it declined. So for part-time education, it has been increasing, even for the full-time education. So it has been increasing consistently, right? This was a sharp increase, but this was a steady increase. So you need to know what kind of increase is there also. Now, if you take a look at the males, full-time education was constantly increasing. So this was a steady increase and then this was quite a sharp increase. But here there is a fluctuation because in the year 1980, it fell down to, let's say, 850 and then it rose again to 900. So this is fluctuating. Now this is how you look at the diagram, analyze a given question. Now let's take a look at the structure. So the first paragraph, first sentence is going to be the introduction. Introduction is nothing but the paraphrasing of your question. So it consists of one or two sentences where you paraphrase the information given in the question. The second thing you do is you write the general overview, right? So this is usually the second paragraph and here you briefly describe the major trends or the significant features on the chart. If you come back to this, what is the main significant feature that you see? There is a huge drastic difference between part-time and full-time education, right? So this is one striking feature of this bar chart, right? The second thing that you see is the women education is increasing steadily, but the male education is fluctuating for part-time education, right? So remember not to use any statistical information, any number, any figures in the overview statement. You will write the statistical numbers, the data and everything in the detailed paragraph. Okay, and how you can begin with it is you can say overall, or it can be seen that part-time education was several times more popular than full-time education throughout the entire 30-year period, right? Or over the 3 decades. So 3 decades, 30-year period, or over the given period, or over the entire period. So this is how you paraphrase and use different words for the same thing, not to use the words repeatedly, right? Initially, men had a larger enrollment numbers in both part-time and full-time, but over the period, it got surpassed by the women. So if you look at the last one, it is the women who are studying more as compared to the men, right? And men has actually declined from 1 million to 900,000, right? So these are the things that you must observe and mention. That way it will be clear that you have you have achieved the task properly. You'll get good score in task achievement. The next two paragraphs cover the specific details, where you will describe the specific features in two paragraphs, right? So if we take a look at the detail para 1, you can say in regard to the part-time education, male enrollment started in 1970 at 1 million and it dipped to 850 million in the year 1980. And then it made a slight recovery to 900 in the year 1990. So you have talked about part-time education. It is a dip and then it is a slight recovery also. Both your paragraphs have to be there. The comparison paragraph and the contrast paragraph. Both have to be taken care of. So you'll say in contrast, females started lower initially at about, let's say it is 775 because it's not looking at 750, slightly above 750, so let's call it 775. You can use your scale or you can use your pen to see the exact number, exact figure, and rose steadily. So this is a steady increase and finally surpassing males in 1990 for a final total of 1.1 million. So this could be your detail para 1. In one para you can talk about part-time and the second para you can talk about full-time, right? Since you have two things to talk about. So make sure that your detailed paras are discussing separate things. Either you do both full-time for both males and females in one para, or you can do it this way. You can discuss full-time, part-time, both. In one para you do the males, in the second para you do the females. The choice is yours, but you have to do it properly. Now let's come to the detailed para 2, where we'll talk about the full-time education. The trend for full-time was slightly different because it started very low for females in 1970 at less than 100,000 even. But it surpassed the male this thing. So we don't want to use the word surpassed again. So it crossed male totals in 1980, and from this period, females experienced slower growth. So it increased, but it increased at a slow rate, while their counterparts, so it rose steadily from 100,000 to 175,000 to, let's say, 225 or 220,000. So make sure to include the data in the detailed paragraph. This is a sample answer that you can take a look at. The introduction just consists of 1 or 2 sentences. The given bar chart represents educational attainment of males and females in the 30-year period from 1970 to 1991. Then you can talk about the general overview, which is overall part-time education was several times more popular than full-time education throughout the entire period. And this is what we just discussed. So these are the cohesive devices. Overall, in addition, in regard to, in contrast, finally surpassing, okay, from this period. So these words are going to give you some extra points for your coherence and cohesion. And you have to form at least 4 paragraphs. This is clear. And leave a line after each paragraph. So each paragraph stands out that it is separated, because you are not allowed any indenting in your paragraphs. We have already discussed the answer to it. Let's look at another example now. So this chart illustrates a number of people who were affected by 4 types of noise pollution in day and night in cities. So this is city, and in rural areas in the year 2007. So I'm actually reading it from the question. How do you analyze? You first of all take a look at the data, the x-axis and the y-axis. On the x-axis, you are given different types of noise pollution. Noise pollution caused by traffic, the one caused by train, aircraft and industry. Your overview will be traffic accounts for the highest noise pollution in both rural areas and urban areas. So this is your one overview. Another thing is, in rural areas, there is zero noise made by industry, and here in cities is also negligible. So we can say that traffic is the main source of noise pollution in both the areas. And another thing that we are drawing out is people in cities are getting affected more by the noise than rural areas, right? So this is your overview. Now para 3. So para 3, you're going to compare the traffic noise day and night in cities, and you can take up traffic in train in first para and aircraft and industry in the second para. Or you can talk about just city in one para or rural areas in the second para. So this is how you paraphrase, you illustrate, you compare number of people, how many people are there, cities, urban, 4 types, 4 sources. This is how you're paraphrasing the question, right? Then you write the overall summary of the paragraph. Overall, or it is clear that okay, people in cities are affected more by noise. Traffic is the main source. Paragraph 3, compare traffic noise and so on. Okay, now let's come to the answer. The bar chart compares how many people in urban and rural areas were affected by noise pollution from 4 sources during daytime and nighttime. I missed out a T in 2007. So this is our paraphrasing, which is our introduction. The second paragraph is our overview. Overall, it is clear that more people in cities experienced all types of noise pollution compared with rural areas. In both the charts, traffic was the main source of noise pollution at all times. Right, now let's come to detailed para 1. Daytime noise from traffic affected 64 million. Now till now we haven't talked about the data. Now we'll start talking about the data. So 64, as it is completely visible, daytime noise was 64 million in cities and 34 million in rural areas. At night, the traffic noise affected 48 million city residents and double the figure. So 48 is double of 24, right? So you can do the maths over here. Noise pollution caused by trains affected slightly more people in cities as compared to the rural areas at 10 million and 8 million respectively. Respectively is a very good linking device that you can use during daytime, and 8 million and 6 million respectively at night. But don't overuse it also. So you've talked about traffic and train in para 1. Now come to para 2. The remaining 2 sources of noise pollution. So remaining 2 means you're again referring to the previous paragraph, and that is why your coherence is going high. Noise pollution were less significant. In cities, daytime aircraft noise affected 4 million people and half of that. So half of 4 is 2. So again, this is reduced. Half of that in rural areas. The figure at night for cities and rural areas was 1 million, or it stood at 1 million for both rural and urban areas. Those living in rural areas were not affected by noise from industry, as we had already seen. However, 1 million city residents experienced industrial noise pollution in the daytime, 4 times the number affected at night. So we can again, 0.25 is 1/4 of 1, right? So you have to do a little math so that you can come up with these figures like 4 times, quarter, and things like that, right? So I hope this is clear to you and you've understood from this lesson. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time with the next lesson very soon. Till then, take care and God bless. See ya.